Okay, I just want to work on a new frame for our sprite sheet here. I'm going to try to set up the grid and I want to add, let's first try to view the grid and then let's add, I know it's 144. So I want to add horizontal and vertical. So I would want to add another, so I would want to go and add another sprite row here. So I'm just going to add, if I have here my, let's see, image, and I want to go and add a canvas size. So the height should now be 432 plus 144. 144, that should be 6, 7, and this should be 5, if I'm not making a mistake. So let's try to resize that. And now we have another frame here that we can try to work on trying to draw the player player attack. This one frame, I would want to work on one frame for sword attack. So I'm just going to have a layer group. Then I'm going to drag perhaps one of my target here is to have my polygon idol here. I'm going to duplicate that and to put that in the new layer group. And then I'm going to name this as polygon attack, or at least one of the sword attack. So I'm just going to drag this one and I'm going to drag it here and I'm going to name this as polygon. I'm just going to name it attack one. So I want to have multiple attacks. So now I want to go and try to draw it based on some of the sprite sheet that I already have from my previous character. So you would see we already have here an older version of Polygon that I've already played around with. And I want, of course, because of me promoting Filipino martial arts, I want to use the concept of Filipino martial arts in the animation of Polygon here. So I'm thinking, because this is a new version of Aligun, so from here I want to have this as I've dragged the old sprite that I have and I reduce the opacity of the player. And I just want to have a quick attack that I'll be drawing here just for test purposes. So I'm going to go back here and I want to use the reference to the current version of Aligun. So I'm going to draw him I'm going to create a new layer, polygon attack dash one, and this is going to be, I think I'm just going to have this as hmm, one, and this one's going to be zero. So I'm going to use that as a reference. So now I want to have his legs positioned the same way as my older sprite here. So I'm just going to try to get some of the reference and to reduce the size here. And I want to make sure that he's in a position that we can try to redraw. Okay, I have him here. I'm just going to use this first as my reference. And now I want to redraw polygon here. It's the one that I'm going to reduce. I want his body to be positioned. So let's go get that. And use the exact color that we used. And going to have some of his arm position. Or let me just go and duplicate this. And I'm going to use this as the one that we'll be trying to edit. So I want the arm to move a little bit. Uh, how do we want this? I want him to have a position from where he's in a. So I'm going to have this leg reposition a little bit. So I want this to be a little bit here, and I want it to be in a slightly bended position. And then this one will be from here, and then the top area. And I'm going to delete, but I'll need to get the color, of course. So I'll need to draw this, get this part, and then have this part here. Then unselect, and again, try to fill some parts of the angle, perhaps reduce some parts here. Then I'm pressing on and this is all through the use of a mouse. So please bear with me. And right now I'm just going to select some of this to delete it quickly. This one, I think I can select that, so I have to delete it manually. Now we have those legs a little bit positioned as if ready for an attack forward attack. Of course, we can further improve this as we work on the animation sprite. And I think that's not looking too good. So I think we'll have to adjust this a little bit. It doesn't look normal. So I want the weapon hand to be repositioned. So I'm going to have this also from here. I want that arm positioned as if he has his arm here. I think we'll have to adjust the leg. I don't like the formation that we have just recently created. But we'll do that some as we go through the improving the sprites here. And then we have a weapon. We want this one to be here. And we'll just clean it up. Because we want this leg to be more precise with the, I think we can have it at exactly the same position. Mm. Want him to be in an open neck. So I think we have to reposition also the formation of the floating. We want that same direction of that position of the arm. Let's delete this wrist. I'll need to readjust his leg the way I want the. I think we also need to readjust the body position. I think we'll have to have this body forwarding. But I'll just set up the leg first. So from here, we want the leg to be a little bit forward. Or I think I want him to be as if is in a forward stance position. So we have to draw the leg that this way. And we'll just adjust that that way. We're not using any. I think the leg should be from here. If I'm not making a mistake, we need to start from this part going here. If we want that to look as if, so we'll have to adjust. If we don't have the, so will have this leg here. So we'll need to have this part up here. Then we'll have the red color to reposition that. And we'll have the leg here. And just look at how the anatomy of the leg body will be doing. And I'll just work on it as we go through the improvement of the sprite sheet. For now, I just want to prepare this for the initial attack sprite. I want this to have a little bit of curve here, just to make that movement as if he had to move a little bit, and then he's moving his like one leg forward. So one we want, I think we can already hide this one or this one. Okay, and this is now the where is this? Hmm. Oh, no, this is the, we don't need that because this is the one that we're editing. We'll have to delete that later on. Sometimes the layering can be a bit confusing. Okay, we have the curve there. Can we have this part also have a bit of a curve? Trying to base this from, sorry, that's my doubt. I'm trying to base this from an attack that we do in actual Philippine martial arts, and we call it long reach circular attack movement of the weapon. So here we have here. Yeah. So if you're a Filipino, so sa mga kapwa ko Pinoy dyan, you might be familiar with the Filipino martial arts journeys, and that's the one that I'm trying to base the attack movements of our player here. Let's have a little bit of curving here. Okay. So I think a little bit of this will also be colored red. And then I think he now has a little bit of a bigger leg because he had to move forward a little bit. think we'd have to shorten this a little bit. Should we shorten it a little bit? Or is it going to look as if it's there's a small leg? I think we'll go with this one. We're not going to try to perfect it with one go, but I want to at least see the cloud is properly positioned. A little bit of adjustment with the size. I'm going to get a little some of the shadows here, or a little bit of second layer. Mm-hmm. Let's go get that again. How did we do that? A little bit of shadow from here. And now has that leg move forward a little bit. And then I want this arm to be ready for an attack. I was thinking I'll have the sword on the right arm or on the left arm. I think we'd have to adjust the body here so that it would look as if he has this part in here. I think we have a lot of adjustments that we'll need to do for us to be able to show that it's actually in a sideward position. And I'm going to have this here, and then I'm going to delete some parts here. And I think I want to adjust some of the parts in the abdomen. Most of the sprites that I am trying to look at are they're mostly using two-hand attack. And I just want to demonstrate here an attack that will be solo hand. I'm just going to adjust this here. And this one, I think much better if we go and I'll have this arm here. I want the arm to be on the chest, similar to how I teach it on Filipino martial arts. So if I have my arm here, and this one's going to be my forearm, I think I'll delete this one because this is the left arm. Then I'm just going to draw some parts here, then make sure that there's also some parts. There's going to be the elbow, then the wrist, and you're protecting your attacking hand here. So I'm just going to need to make sure that this is going to be, we'll have the wrist here, and then we have a bit of colored red around here. We'll just try to improve this as we try to work on when we have this hand, if I'm grabbing on I'm trying to simulate it how I would be in a fighting position when I'm sparring. So I would want to have the hand around this part. And let's see, I'm still going to use, okay, so that will be covering the shoulder a little bit. And I want to have that part of the neck area. When you're actually protecting this is a support movement. And this arm now, I want to duplicate this. Then I'm going to hide this one. I'm going to cut this part. Now, let's try to have this hand cut. Let's have this one. And then let's see if we can try to move this. So the idea is it will be holding a hand. And it will be bended a little bit forward. So let me just go and rotate this like that. And then the idea is we have it in here. I think we have to rotate it full. We rotate it. Let's have another try at that. Want to have this fully rotated because this is the arm that will be holding the weapon. And it should be around, if that's not fully rotated. And then have that arm a little bit in here. Should it be looking like that? I just want to think how I would want this to be drawn. So if I am holding my weapon hand here, okay, so let's just delete this one. Don't want that. Going to have a duplicate of this. Then I'm going to delete this part of the arm because I still want that biceps, but I need to have some sort, somehow be able to demonstrate. I need to demonstrate here as if he's using a weapon hand. He is, and it is currently chambered. So, okay, let's have this chambered, and I would want to have, oops, I want that. I want this to have a weapon hand, and the weapon hand will be grabbing onto a weapon, as if like, uh, I'll just try to improve on that weapon hand here. I think it should be around this part, like that. And this one will have this part. And we now have a chambered position weapon hand. And I want this to have this color here. Then we'll have the fist. And because this is Filipino martial arts, if you're a Filipino, you might know that we have what we call a chambered weapon, like this. And then this one will have, I think I would want it to be in an angle position. So we have the weapon a little bit chambered like this from the back. It's chambered like that. So I'm not going to be going to the details yet, but I think that would look like something similar to how we position our attacking hands in Filipino martial arts. So now we have some shadow here. Okay, and then we have the weapon, of course. If I'm grabbing here, that means I should be having some sort of a finger. And then the weapon should be around this part. And I think I'll go get what color should we use? Perhaps a little bit yellowish. I would want it to be a weapon. So let's have a gray color for the handle. Let's have a bit of a gray color for the handle. So it will just be a stick. Then we'll have a perhaps a basic stick here. And then we'll have that now. Or should I just go stick with the I'm going to delete some parts here. Just do so it's in a chambered position. Should I color it brown or something? I can't still decide yet, but perhaps we can have that color a bit dark. Or should I stick with the hmm. Okay, so I'm thinking we'll stick with the yellowish color. of a rattan. So I think the rattan color would probably be, I'm currently looking at some references. Should be a bit dark, like this. Does it look like that? I think I would want it to be a bit more yellowish for a colored rattan. So that's going to be our first weapon, a rattan stick. And then we'll have this color brown here, which is a common look. And now we have that in there. And now we have a rattan stick set up for an attack sprite. Okay, so this is going to be our chambered position. Chamber. Now I'm going to duplicate this, and I think I can now go and have this chamber position on the next row here. And I'm just going to have a quick transition of an attack. I'm not going to be too meticulous about it yet. I want it to look like as if the attack will be swiftly finished with just one strike. I'm not going to add some animation techniques yet here, but I just want to make sure that we get to see from the chamber position. We'll have the arm set up to an attack position. So let's look at this. Let's call this attack position. And I'm going to delete some parts here. We now have the weapon. I want that attack to as if it's going to be moving from here. I want that attack to be delivered to here. So we have the arm, biceps here. We have the biceps, and we have the arm to be positioned in this part and in around this part. And I'm just going to quickly delete this. And I'm going to add some parts of the color for the shoulder. Just bear with me. I'm using a mouse as I've said. And we have here the part from where we can make sure that's what still showcase the attacking arm. And we have this part was the, of course we want to show the back, the shoulder part that it has already moved. And a little bit of dark color here. And then we have the biceps. We can add some shadows, perhaps just to add a little bit of distinguishment. Then the elbow part and the biceps part here. And then we have the arm itself that has the weapon. So the weapon now should be around this part. I'm just going to quickly draw this just to have a sample attack animation. And we have that there. Now we want to get the color. So I'm just going to draw this and then make sure that the face is still there. I want to have this little bit. And we'll just adjust The size perhaps doesn't have to be perfect yet. And I just want to showcase here that there's movement in the animation of the attack. Okay, and then we have that stick there. We have this here, and I think we have this. We put it here, just a few here, 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 and here. Okay, so now we have that quick transition from one attacking sprite to another attacking sprite. So let's now try to play around with this on Unity. I'm going to try to play around with it in Unity. Right. So I just want to add here stick in the idle animation also, just to make it more. I've tested it out and I just want to make it more as if he's already holding a weapon on Arnie's rattan stick.